Hello, and welcome to the Steve and Mark Discuss podcast, where Steve chooses a subject to bring to the table. I do not know what it's going to be, and he will do a 5-minute presentation on it, and I will respond, and he may interject on occasion with any further ideas. Okay, so over to you, Steve.
Hi, people. So this little story here has been happening over this last week in San Francisco. They did something remarkable in San Francisco over the week. They managed to remove all the homeless people from the city, and consequently, there was a huge fire where some of the homeless people were camping, and it melted some of the steel girders holding up a freeway, or a flyover, as we like to call them in the UK.
Yeah.
And so they've had to block the highway. It's not safe to be used for an undetermined amount of time, which means it's not going to be repaired anytime soon.
Yeah.
And then all of this, of course, was for the visit of President Xi, right? Because he arrived there yesterday, and they transformed the streets full. They put loads and loads of Chinese flags in the main street of San Francisco where Xi was going to be received. And the people who were there were all Chinese. It's amazing. They were all Oriental looking. I imagine first and second generation Chinese, with the little flags, with the little.
Yeah, okay, fair enough. Yeah.
Like something out of downtown Beijing, on a flag day, on a big day in China. And it's the first time I've ever seen that from one country doing a "We Are Now China" reception for a Chinese or any president of any country.
No, I was going to say, yeah.
And it's the streets are full of Ugandans, and it was really, really surprising. This meeting that Xi had initially was with the president of the US, Joe Biden, and they had a meeting. And at the end of the meeting, Joe Biden called Xi a dictator still, which didn't really go down very well with Xi.
Yeah.
And for the state dinner, we don't know if Biden was not invited. We don't know if he ran out of steam and had to put a lid on the dinner, and let Xi go on his own to dinner. Or if the politicians objected for Biden's presence,
No.
Or if it was the local and some national business people who wanted wanted the lack of Joe Biden at the dinner, so that she could speak with them with a little bit more liberty. So I mean, that was sort of, it's like coming out of Narnia.
Yeah.
With the sort of thing that you don't do things behind the president's back.
Yeah.
But they did.
Yeah.
And it looks like they are doing. I'd love to know what some of the deals that were made with the US businesses in China. China in itself is on its last legs with its economy. I mentioned this some months ago
Yeah,
about
yeah.
Evergrande.
Mm,
And Evergrande is a construction.
yeah.
I think it's the biggest construction company in China,
Mm,
and it was teetering months ago.
yeah,
It might even have been a year ago when I first mentioned it. I know it's a long
yeah,
time,
yeah. Construction is a
and it
yeah.
looks like that it's coming to a bitter end now, and she is needing to use dollars,
Mm,
not to empty their coffers of
yeah,
dollars,
yeah,
to maintain the use of dollars to
yeah,
keep the dollar afloat. Because as long as the dollar is in demand, sorry,
yeah.
it's going to more or less it's going to maintain its value.
Mm. No, yeah. I mean, it's
China, China is buying a lot of gold,
mhm,
as are all the BRICS nations,
yeah.
and a lot of gold. And China is lending African nations an awful lot of money.
No, well, yeah. It's long-term business. Yeah, yeah,
China's going to be lending them. It won't be lending them the currency of China. It will be
yeah.
lending them dollars to
Of course.
keep the
Yeah,
dollar. But once
yeah.
those dollars have been spent, we know where the dollar's going to go.
Mm,
And so she was with these guys yesterday, talking behind closed presidential doors, if you like. That
well,
means in the president out of the loop when he should have been in the loop.
well. Okay.
That's if he hasn't got enough Chinese money already. Oops, did I say that?
$15 trillion or something last count. Yeah, I know. Yes. Yeah.
Biden, for some reason, he managed yesterday or the day before, he sent another $6 billion to Iran. To Iran, I
Yeah.
mean,
It,
what could possibly go wrong? That's probably why he wasn't invited to the dinner.
I, yeah. I mean, it's
You,
well. Okay. Well, let's start beginning. Okay. Yeah, I suppose being hospitable and everything else to a visiting dignitary is nice. Whoever they are, you have to respect that they are still the head of a major country or any other country. Come to think of it, yeah. Yeah, it does seem a bit strange. I mean, San Francisco does have a massive Chinatown, a massive Oriental Chinese presence. So, okay, it's not impossible to think that some people might feel an affiliation. Um, let's put it that way. Um, yeah, it's very, very strange. I heard they had cleared Tent City out the way, which, yeah, I had heard that because I saw them throwing the tents in the dumpsters. Um, yeah, there's lots of strange things happening in the US at the moment. Um, I mean, San Francisco is a strange place anyway. Strange city. I visited it. It's still a bit hippiedom today and a bit out there, man, with different ideas and yeah, dare I say it, different agendas on occasions. Nice place. Don't get me wrong. It's a nice place and nice area and driving up and down the hills and looking across the bay. Beautiful place. Good real estate there if you want it, if you can afford it. Yeah. It is a now. I mean, I'm not particularly interested in deals being done. I mean, there's still theoretically has to be scrutiny. Do I care if the British Prime Minister's involved in every bit of business and everything else? No, I'm not. I mean, we're talking about Joe Biden here. Him in or outside the room, I don't really think makes much difference. you know, I dare say there were people keeping an eye on what's going on. I don't know. We don't know. Um, I mean, there's still a lot of business being done with China and the rest of the world. Nobody's put a massive embargo on China because it's almost impossible to do unless you're going to stop absolutely everything that you need. everything from computers right the way down to kids' toys. That is the reality of where we've got to in the world. The Chinese know that. It's going to be I don't know. In one way, I'm pleased that China and America are still talking to each other, because the alternative is kind of worrying. Yeah. Hopefully Taiwan is going to be on the agenda somewhere along the line. I mean, I don't mind competition, competitiveness. We have to remember the Chinese are good business people. They understand business, whatever their administration, their regime is in China, which we can agree or disagree on. It's not really different from how they've lived for probably 1,000, 2,000, 1,000 years or so. I'm not saying it justifies anything. I'm just saying it's an interesting world we're heading into, interesting times. This is certainly an interesting US administration.
Some people would say it was bizarre.
Yeah, bizarre. Yes, yes. I'm being, I'm very, very good in my words, and when we're speaking normally, I say what I think. It'd probably be a very passive-aggressive manner sometimes, but yeah. It is it is very, very peculiar. Like I said, I've seen headlines about it. I'll be quite honest. Anything Biden does is a bit strange and it's nonsensical. And I don't think it's Biden. I don't think Biden knows what Biden's doing. I'm going to say it out loud. I think there's people around him who know exactly what they're doing. Whether I should worry about it or not, I don't know. I really don't know. That's the thing.
I asked myself, who is running the US? It certainly isn't the president.
Yeah.
And I think you talk about worrying about the future. I think yes, you should a little bit, because if the US turns out to be a regime similar to China, that would affect the rest of the world.
Of course it would.
Because the US used to be the biggest economy, largest economy of the world, of this planet.
Yeah.
And so things will change. Things will change.
Well, Biden did call a meeting with business people and everything a while ago. He's totally aware of this when he was a little bit more compos mentis. I'm talking in very direct terms about him because I feel sorry for any man or anyone that's in the situation he is, in the health situation he is. You have to. He's probably not done anyone, I'll say anyone, any real harm. We don't know. But it is he is aware that there is going to be a change, and it happens every 80, 100 years or so, or 200, however the time frame is. Yeah, there's a sudden change of things. Things are turning. One point it was the British Empire. Before that was empires. Before that, don't forget the Chinese were an empire once of great influence. It might be that we're going back to square one almost. Everyone takes it in turn as the top seat. I don't think China are going to turn every single country into mini-me at some point at all. But yes, the influences will be they'll expect you to fulfill some certain criteria before they'll do business with you if they're in that position. At the moment, they're not in that position. Again, we don't know. It's going to be watch this space, as I say. Yes, I am sort of following what's happening in the construction industry anyway around the world, very, very loosely. Yes, the Chinese is going to suffer. Quite what will happen then. And I think there was actually been an economic historian called Noel Ferguson, I think a Scottish historian, who's wrote quite a lot about this. And he wrote about it about 20 years ago, I believe, in a book, what are called Wars of the World. I think it was the title of the book. I read it. I got it from a library, bought it from a library for 20 pence or something. Actually, an interesting read. Unfortunately, I gave it away when I came to Brazil. But yeah, at the end of that, he's alluding to what's actually happening in the world now. So he saw it coming. There's quite a few people saw it coming. They were called doomsayers.
Yeah, yeah.
One person's doomsayer is another person's prophet.
Profit.